All right, today I'm going to show you the value of DonorScape's export all function, something you can use to mine for very granular level detail on your prospects. As an example, has anyone ever asked you to identify prospects who have made charitable gifts to a specific nonprofit organization that wasn't yours? I certainly have had that question. The other day, somebody asked how they would find all of their prospects who have also donated to the American Red Cross. So export all is the answer to that question. In this webcast, I'm going to walk you through how to process and export all from the DonorScape platform, how to convert the text files into Excel files, and then how to mine for the kind of detail you're looking for. And we're going to look at 3 specific example scenarios. So before we get started, let's walk through those scenarios. The first one is if somebody asks you to find prospects who have given $5,000 or more to a similar organization. So for that, we're going to use the VeriGift data source, specifically looking at category, but also the low gift range. Secondly, we're going to look for people who have real estate that's valued over $1 million. So we're going to use LexisNexis and the total assessed value for that example. And then finally, the last scenario is if somebody says, I want to see all of the prospects who sit on corporate or nonprofit boards. So for those, we're going to look at GuideStar Public and also GuideStar Private. Okay, so first I'm going to show you how to run the export all in the DonorScape platform. So I'm logged in to a demo account here. And the first important thing to know is that you have to have admin rights in order to run and export all. So you know that by looking at the options you have next to your name in this dropdown. If admin is a choice, then you are good to go. If it's not, you'll have to talk to the person who is an admin and is responsible for your DonorScape account. And either ask them to run the export all or ask them to change your account preferences, but we're going to let them decide how to proceed on that. Okay, so export all is in the Generate Insights section of the DonorScape platform. So we're going to scroll down to the bottom, and right away this red text tells us that there's no record, so we have to first run a search in order to export all the data. So we'll go back to Explore Prospects, and it really doesn't matter what we're searching for. So I'm just going to leave all of the default search parameters and pull up everybody in my DonorScape platform. I will also mention that the match quality setting right now doesn't matter, because when we do the export all, we're going to see each piece of data and the verification level, and we can filter by verification level once we're in Excel. So really we just needed to run a search and then go back to Generate Insights, and now that red text is going to be gone, so we can click Export All Data and Process Report. This process takes a while, so it will load for a little bit, and then eventually you'll get a message that says it'll run overnight. However, I did this the other day. I kicked off the export all at about 5:30 and then got an email at about 6 o'clock, which is what this is telling you, that it's going to run overnight. You'll get an email that you can just click through the link, and it'll bring you back to the Generate Insights tab. Like I said, I already did that the other day, so I'll just pull up that email where I can click through to download my data. Because I just clicked it again, it says it's already running, which is fine because we're just going to pretend that I downloaded it and it's ready. So here it'll say download when you do get that email. I have this already in my download folder though, so I'll bring that up now. It'll be zipped when you do download it, so you'll have to first extract the files, and then when you do, you'll see that they're all text files broken out by data source. In the blog that I'll post alongside this video, I'll put a description of what each of these mean so that you know what you're looking for. They will look familiar if you've used DonorScape in the past, which I'm assuming you all have if you're watching this video. But I will include just a quick synopsis for you, as well as a link to the DonorScape support website where we have a whole PDF that explains in great detail what these sources are. Okay, so the next step involves converting the text files into Excel files. We're gonna do that. I'll give you an example. So first we're gonna open just a blank workbook in Word and then in Excel, I'm sorry. Go to the Data tab, and then we're gonna import, in this first section it says Get External Data, we're gonna import from text. So we're gonna navigate to that folder you downloaded. Here's my export all prospect data. And the first example that we're gonna do is looking for that giving to other organizations. So we're gonna open the VeriGift data table. You just find it, click import, and then it opens what's called the text import wizard. I do also have screenshots of each of these steps in the slides that I will also post with this video. But generally, these tables are pipe delimited, which means we want to make sure that delimited is checked, but also we do have headers, which you can see in this preview. And then in the next step, the delimiters are tab we want checked, but we also want to add that pipe, which is just a straight up and down line that's on the same key as your backslash. So we'll insert that into this other field as well. And now you can see it's doing what it should and splitting the prospect ID from the donor name in this preview. So we'll click next. And the column format is general. So we'll leave that. We don't have to click anything on this last step. Just click finish and then OK. And then here is our VeriGift data table. So you're going to want to save this probably by the name so you don't forget which source it is. And then once in a while, depending on your prospect IDs, it might collapse them in this first column. So you can just change this to a number, and then there's our whole prospect ID. But otherwise, this is good to go. You'll notice it's sorted by prospect ID, and because it's VeriGift, each line represents a different gift to an organization. When you're doing this, you're going to want to repeat that step for all of the different sources that you're using. I've already done that. So I have a bunch of different saved files that I already converted to Excel. We're going to start with the VeriGift example though. So we want to see gifts of $5,000 or more to similar nonprofits. So the first thing I'm going to do is apply a filter. And then we see this category section here, which you can scroll through and get familiar with what you're looking at. So we have a bunch of gifts for the same prospects to different organizations. And then this category here tells us what kind of organizations these are. So I only want to see giving to like nonprofits, so I'm just going to deselect everything and just choose the categories that are similar to my nonprofit. I used to work in an education nonprofit, so I'm going to choose education and then just take a peek through the rest of these categories and see if anything else makes sense. So my education nonprofit actually functioned similar to a human services organization, because while it was an education nonprofit, it wasn't a school. So we also compared ourselves to other human service organizations. And it was also for high school students, so I'm going to choose youth development. And that feels right to me, but it's going to be different for you, most likely. This is just an example. So that's what I'm going to look at. And that will narrow down the, my list of gifts to nonprofits that are similar to my nonprofit. Now, we said we only want to see gifts that are $5,000 or more. So I'm also going to look at this low gift range category and sort just by, I just want to see the big gifts, because that tells me that they give a lot of money to other organizations that are like mine. Okay, so now I have a pretty good list of people to go after that are in my DonorScape account who are giving in ways that make me think that they are great prospects for my nonprofit as well. All right, so let's move on to scenario 2, where we're going to look at LexisNexis. You'll want to save this first VeriGift one if that's what you do, but I'm not going to bother because it's just an example. So our next example is we're going to look at LexisNexis to find real estate. We want everybody who has a real estate value of $1 million or more. So we're going to, like I said earlier, look at that total assessed value, which I already highlighted in yellow because it's very important. I'm going to change this to currency because it's a little bit easier for me to see with those commas, but that's up to you. So it's really important to keep in mind that this is based on tax assessment, and every county assesses values a little bit differently. For example, I'm in Chicago, and Chicago is in Cook County. So this assessment value needs to be multiplied by 10 for Cook County. I will also include a really great resource in the blog if this concept is new to you. So this resource is a tax assessor database that will break out the multipliers by county for the tax assessment value. So basically the first thing I would do is sort by state and county and look for counties that you know a majority of your, if there is a concentration of your donors, we want to look at those counties. So first, let's look for Cook County. So we're going to sort by home. Where's the county? State. And city, state, zip, mailing address, mailing, assessed land value, assessed year, market value. There's our county. All right, so I'm going to bring that up to the top, and then by state. Oops. Okay. And now we're going to look I'm going to hide everything except state and our name, just so it's easier to see. And then our assessed value. Hide, and then I want to see our county name as well. So I'm going to hide those other things. So these are the three really important columns. Now I'm going to look for Cook County. You could search it to be a little bit faster. But basically, for this example, I know that a lot of my donors for my fake nonprofit live in Cook County, Illinois. So, like I said, these are 1/10 of the value. So that means this house that looks like it's $156,000 is actually $1.5 million. So to cheat a little bit, because I know we want to see the people who have real estate valued over $1 million, I'm just going to pick all of these 6-figure ones and add that extra 0 so that when I sort by this assessment value, they show up on top because I know they're close to me and I know that they're in Cook County. So now I'm going to sort by just that total assessed value and knock out my counties. But you're going to want to look at all of the counties that you know your prospects live in. So now, rather than filtering out what I don't want to see, I'm just going to sort by the assessed value here, and the people with the highest assessed value are at the top, including my Cook counties. All right. Finally, our last scenario has to do with finding people who are involved in corporate or nonprofit boards. So the first distinction to make is the difference between GuideStar Public and GuideStar Private. You should comb through both of those sources if you're looking for board participation. I'm also going to include a link to a GuideStar blog that discusses the difference between public charities and private foundations. Let's look at the private list first. And here we see title is the title they had on this board, the year that they were on the board. So you can see you're going to have multiple constituents with different years depending on the data points. And then the employer is actually the name, the header here of the private foundation. So there's a lot of family foundations on this list. But there's also a couple corporate foundations that just don't qualify as public charities, which is why they're on this private list. It's also worth pointing out this total assets fair market column. This is how you can see the private foundation's assets. All right, and then to look at the public list, so you can see the difference. This is laid out in the same way, where the employer column will be the name of the public charity that your prospect is involved in. You can see their role in the charity. And then another important thing similar to the private list is to look at the revenue total. So you can sort this by revenue title or revenue total, or you can sort this by the name of the charity or look specifically for what you're looking for if there is a specific charity. Otherwise, this list, you're going to want to just comb through this to find those prospects who have connections to private and public charities. This is really just the tip of the iceberg, but at least now the information is right at your fingertips, and now you know how to get it out of DonorScape and get it into an Excel format so that you can start really digging in at the granular level. Like I said, I will be posting some resources for you that include links to our DonorScape support site, the Microsoft Text Import Wizard step-by-step, that tax assessor database, as well as definitions from GuideStar about the difference between public charities and private foundations. Good luck.